Remember, hasn't moved in a minute, so probably we can start.
Okay, let's 30 now that we've reached 30. John, why don't you make the introductory announcements and then we'll get started.
Good evening. If this is your first time joining us, you notice you're all currently muted and have remained muted throughout the meeting except for the co-chairs, Chuck and Craig, and the presenters as we move through the agenda. Following the presentations, as we move through the agenda, the co-chairs will call on members of the public wishing to speak. You can speak by going to the raised hand button on the bottom on your screen, not the waves or thumb up button as those disappear. Only press the raise hand button once. If you press it a second time, it will go back down. If you're currently calling on your phone, press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. Be on lookout for a prompt asked to confirm unmuting once the co-chairs call on you. The chat is available for technical support only, not to ask questions of the co-chairs as they will not see the chat. If you are using an older version of Zoom, you'll need to go to the React menu or Participant menu or to the button where it says More, where you will find the raise hand feature down there. If you're planning to speak during the meeting, please make sure to rename yourself with your first and last name on your device. Please do not raise your actual hand or wave at the screen as we have able to see you and chat me about technical support.
Thank you. Thanks, John. I want to welcome everyone to the October meeting of the Transportation Committee, Community Board 8. I'm Chuck Warren, the co-chair of the committee, and Craig Later is my co-chair. And we have a pretty busy agenda today, so we should start going through it here. Item number 1 is a presentation from the Department of Transportation regarding the modifications to Second Avenue and East 63rd Street. It will install a south crosswalk, update markings, and retime the signals. And I see we have, I don't know if is Greg Haas from New York City DOT. I don't know if you want to start or who wants to start it off for DOT.
This is Greg Haas. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
I'll start it off. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, it says sharing is not turned on.
Should be able to share now.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Do you see a presentation?
No, not yet.
Not yet, Greg. Yeah, and good evening, everyone. And I also see Rafael Escano, who is looking to unmute. We're just getting settled here still. Greg, thanks for trying to kick us off. Rafael, can you speak now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. Rafael Escano, Borough Planner from the Office of the Manhattan Borough Commissioner. As you know, Greg and John, we are here to make a couple of presentations. And as you just said, we're going to take the number 1, the modification of 2nd Avenue and 63rd Street. Then we go to the 96th Street.
You don't have to sum them all up. We'll just take them.
Okay.
Let's just get started. Let's just start going into
them because indeed we had the units that are going to be respectively addressing these concerns that you have shown in the past. I'm also joined by the Deputy Commissioner Jennifer Santa Ynez that is going to be very briefly introducing the rest of the team. So
Okay.
Thank you for hosting us tonight.
Yeah. Welcome, and we're always happy to see Jennifer. And
Thank
all
you,
of
Chuck. Yeah, thank you, Chuck and Craig and John again for accommodating DOT for, the number of items today. And Greg, while he's pulling up our presentation, these are going to be for specific to 2nd Avenue at East 63rd Street, some necessary safety improvements that the agency is looking to make this fall. We had started work just a little bit ago during the summer break. So, we're coming to you as soon as we could to kind of just outline the work that we are planning to make for the Southern Crosswalk. Greg, we cannot see the presentation just yet. Excellent. PowerPoint is opening up and we see the slides. We just have a short few slides to run through, so happy to answer questions after Greg runs through them. And thanks again for accommodating us tonight.
Sure.
Okay, can you see the slideshow,
Yes.
the whole
We
thing?
do, but we see the preview slides and notes also.
All right, I don't want to do that. Hold on.
Actually, there are no notes. There you go.
There you go. Yep.
Actually, no, that's not it. That's not it. That's the
Let me try something else here. Hold on. Okay, what do you see now?
Still don't see
Yes,
it.
you.
Yeah.
We have to.
You see what?
You.
We're only seeing you, Greg. We don't see anything.
Oh,
Did
Jesus.
we hit share screen? I okay. Now we see your screen. So if you, I think you need to
Okay.
that we see your folder. So you need to open the
Good. All
file.
right, hold on. Then this should work then. Now what do you see?
We see the right thing now. We're good.
Okay, good. Okay, so this is about Second Avenue and East 63rd Street. This photo here is this is looking south on Second Avenue. This is looking east on 63rd Street. And there's no crosswalk here. And I'll explain why in a minute. Whoops. Okay, so currently, the reason 63rd Street is so busy is because there's an exit for it on the southbound FDR Drive. There's an exit for 63rd Street. And if you want to go from the southbound FDR Drive to the 59th Street Bridge, you use that exit and you turn left here from 63rd to 2nd Avenue. So that's why there's so much traffic. And the lack of a signalized crossing makes it a very unfriendly, pedestrian unfriendly location. And there used to be a sidewalk there about 20 years ago, and it was eliminated because of this dangerous, conflicting, large amount of traffic that turns left into the crosswalk. So that's why we took it away 20 years ago. Since then, we have different signal timing tricks that we can make possible for a south crosswalk to operate safely. So this is the idea. The green time for westbound East 63rd Street is split up into two parts. During the first part, the south crosswalk will get the walk display with the stickman, and the westbound left turning vehicles will be held with a red left arrow so that the pedestrians can walk without having to worry about cars turning into them. Then, during the second part of this split phase, as we call it, the south crosswalk, the stick man will turn into a steady hand after the pedestrians are done crossing. And then the traffic, the red arrow will turn into a green arrow so that the cars can turn without having to dodge pedestrians. And during both parts of this split phase, there would be a green through arrow for 63rd Street because the through traffic doesn't run into anything. And also the north crosswalk will have the walk display during both parts of this. The middle lane will be changed from shared left through to left only. And let me just show this. This is kind of small. To enable this today on East 63rd Street approaching 2nd Avenue, the way the lanes are marked, the markings are faded, but the way the signs tell you is that this is a left turn lane. The left turn is left turn only. The middle lane is for left and through traffic, and the right lane is for through traffic. To enable this split phase, this middle lane here will also be left only. So there'll be 2 left only lanes and 1 through only lane. And just to once again emphasize how the timing will work, this is the way it is today. So today, when it's green for southbound 2nd Avenue, these green circles represent the crosswalks. So when it's green for 2nd Avenue, the west and the east crosswalk go. The north crosswalk is don't walk, and there is no south crosswalk. And then, of course, 63rd traffic is held with a red. And then it just flips. It's green for 63rd Street, green for this walk for this crosswalk, and red for this traffic. So under the new plan, this phase as we call it, will stay the same. And here, these are the 2 parts of the split phase that I was just talking about. During the first part, it's green, it's walk for both the north crosswalk and the south crosswalk. There'll be a green through arrow for through traffic and a red left arrow so that these guys crossing don't have to dodge these cars that are turning. Then 7 seconds later, this will turn into a don't walk with the steady hand. The green through arrow will stay green, and this red turning arrow will turn into a green turning arrow so that when they turn, this will be don't walk. That's the plan. Any questions?
So, all right, so now, okay, now, before we get to questions, one of the things that come to my mind is, I know these happen at various other intersections when they have these lights like this, and a lot of times the pedestrians just keep crossing. I mean, this suggests this is going to be a problem for the traffic that wants to make the left turn coming off the bridge, and you're going to get a lot of backups.
That's true. We do see that, but there isn't a whole lot of pedestrians. There are going to be jaywalkers here, just like there always is. But if there's a traffic control agent, which often there is here, especially in the PM rush hour, as long as this is don't walk, his job will be pretty easy. His job will be somewhat easy to hold the jaywalkers. It's very difficult for a cop to hold the pedestrians when it says walk. What's one lousy cop going to do? But if it says don't walk and there's a cop out there, and remember, the great majority of them will have crossed here because remember, during this phase, when it's green for 2nd Avenue, the pedestrians are piling up. And then the ones who have piled up will have already crossed. But yes, I can't tell you that during this phase, nobody's going to jaywalk. But at least the ones who have been waiting, they will have already crossed. Anyone who arrives here, if there's no cop, yes, there could be jaywalkers. But at least during the crunch times, when there usually is a traffic enforcement agent there, at least he can hold them because the steady hand will be up. So,
okay, let's see. Are there any questions from the public on this new configuration here? Is there you see any hand raised at all, John?
First, Dylan Yen.
Yes. Oh,
Hi, can everybody hear me?
yes.
Yes, cool.
Yeah.
So, as somebody who uses this fan almost daily, the upper level already experiences severe backups reaching deep into Queens, especially because it's the only toll-free route in Manhattan that doesn't hit the congestion zone. If I understand this correctly, DOT is proposing to cut turning time in more than half and reduce that large amount of traffic, as we saw in that picture, turning onto 2nd Avenue. It also just leaves turning it into like 2 lanes only, a left turn only, will turn it into a single lane for through traffic to squeeze through at a standstill. And if somebody does a pickup or drop off on anywhere on 63rd Street, nobody's moving for basically 67 seconds. The idea that this will kind of create a conflict-free crossing while introducing a pedestrian conflict zone kind of ignores that large amount of traffic coming off the 59th Street Bridge. And it's just like, I don't understand why this is happening. I also want to remind everybody that the DOT's redesign of 62nd Street has already reduced 2 moving lanes to 1 coming off that bridge to create an 8-foot bike lane buffer. And it creates large backups all the way down to Queens and causing unnecessary gridlock and pollution on that upper level. This proposed change will just exacerbate that problem. And, you know, as the DOT presented, they're not going to be able to stop the jaywalkers unless there's a cop standing there. And we're just creating unnecessary pedestrian conflicts. That south crosswalk was removed for safety reasons after a walkthrough with the DOT commissioner about 17 years ago, when the protective railings were installed to reduce potential pedestrian conflicts and jaywalking. You know, that worked. If it ain't broke,
Well,
don't fix it, right?
okay.
Yeah.
I would beg to differ that it works, because look at these photos here. People, look at this. People cross there anyway. It's just an accident. This is with the fence. It's an accident waiting to happen. If you're out there every day, then you should see people cross there anyway.
Yeah, I understand, but
So it's you know, it's not good as an agency as a whole. We try not to hem in the pedestrians for the benefit of the cars.
Okay,
but
all right, let's, I think we've heard. There's another person who wants to speak on this, Marjorie Russell. Mute Marjorie.
Okay. I want to agree with Dylan's comments. I live on 63rd in York. I try to avoid crossing 2nd Avenue anywhere downstream of the direction of traffic because they're all crazy. And it is so crowded. I want to give congestion pricing all the help it can get so that our neighborhood is bearable again. And I think 2 left turn lanes would be great. And maybe more signs or something for these crazy pedestrians. I myself wouldn't cross there even if there was a walk sign. Because cars ignore it. And they turn right in front of you and right in back of you. That's my comment.
Thank you, Marjorie. I don't see anyone else in the public at this point. Do you see anyone, Craig or? No. Okay, let's go to the board. I think I know Judy Schneider wanted to say something. I know she had her hand up before. Judy?
Yes, thank you, Chuck and Craig. Jennifer, I'm really exceedingly disappointed in DOT. I have to have my say. You're doing this, you're presenting it to us as a fact. You did not come to us before you had the plans to do this work, which you normally do. You come to the community board, you discuss with us what you're going to do and why you're doing it, and you listen to the community and what they have to say. Let me go back. My husband and I did the walk around with Iris Winchell when she was DOT commissioner in 06, 07, 02, sometime in that time. And she put up the gates on the south crossing side because the accident rate, if you checked at that time with the police department, was very, very high. And the gates were successful. Yes, I know you showed us pictures of people crossing now against the gates. That always happens. People always break the law. But I too live on 63rd and come up there all the time. And most of the time, People obeyed those gates and they obeyed the law. Now, you spoke about traffic agents. Thank you. We had traffic agents the last 10 days because the UN was in session. But we don't normally have at the mid-block where 63rd, where you come off the bridge, and at the corner of 2nd Avenue, there are not permanent traffic agents. And if you're going to make this change, I think DOT needs to speak with that division of the police department to see that we have permanent traffic agents that do their job, because they are not there all the time. They are there when a situation like the UN assembly comes up or something else comes up. And it's very difficult to get a permanent traffic agent at that post. And certainly when the change is made, we need to know there are traffic agents there for at least 6 months until people get used to this crossing. I think that's really very important. And I want to say that I did check with the police since you took the gates down. I know the crosswalk is not painted yet, but since you took the gates down, there was a major car accident with a bicycle in the middle of 63rd and 2nd in October. I didn't check, no, we're in October, in September. Excuse me, I did not check for October what the traffic statistics were. So this is really a very tough intersection. And all of this coming now as it is, I don't think it's good for the community. But if you're going to absolutely do it, then all the signage has to be changed, and you must see that there are traffic agents there. Because if there are not traffic agents there, I can tell you right now, it's not going to work, and there are going to be accidents.
Judy, thank you for those comments. You know, I did mention that we're coming to the board as soon as we could after the summer break to present on these changes that we're implementing in the coming weeks. We look to you and CB8 to continue to push PD for additional agents. DOT will also do that from our end. You know, regarding yours and Marjorie's comments and feedback about signage for vehicles and pedestrians. I don't know, Greg, if you can kind of run through what we plan to, you know, maybe put up. We have potential new signs that we implement and install with our borough engineering team when a new change goes into place, so that drivers are alerted to that new geometry. But Greg, if you can speak to that, please.
Yeah, this sign here, and there's a couple of these further back from this photo. Again, this sign will be changed. It'll say only, and then here it'll say left only, and this will say through only. And with a little panel here that says new, it's black letters on a yellow background. And that would be on, I think there's a set of 3 of these signs on 63rd Street here. And of course, the markings on the roadway will be painted to indicate the new lane arrangement also.
And will you be taking down the old signs like "Don't cross the man with the red
Yes,
line"?
yes.
Will you be taking down all the other signs that don't apply?
Yes,
As
correct.
such, yeah, like use crosswalk, this one and this one, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board members want to comment?
Sebastian has hand raised.
Who?
But Sebastian.
Sebastian, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Just want to say that I support this change. I live right by here. This also has a public school right on the block, and any changes that we can make to allow it to be easier for pedestrians to move around this primarily residential neighborhood is a good change in my book. And so I want to thank the DOT for making this improvement to our pedestrian streetscape. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I actually want to make a comment and a question. First, I guess my question is, when we talked about this last month, We talked about there being a plan for the entirety of 63rd to 59th Street. Just want to confirm whether that is actually the case or not, if there are going to be more aspects um, to safety upgrades in this corridor, if this is just concentrated at this intersection.
Yes, there is one extra thing that we'll be doing. Let's see if I can. We're going to form what we call a cattle chute so that the two leftmost lanes, and this will be it'll start from 62nd to 60th. The two leftmost lanes, which lead to the bridge, there'll be what we call quick curb or delineators. They look like bollards, they look like bowling pins to separate the two leftmost lanes from the three through lanes.
So similar to what you have northbound on Third Avenue approaching 57th Street,
Correct.
approaching the
Similar to that.
bridge.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Are you going to be coming to us to present that? And when do you expect the timing on that to be?
This should all happen at the same time, and I'm not sure when it will happen. All I can say is it'll happen before Thanksgiving, but at this point, I can't be more specific. But we'll let you know as soon as we nail down the date.
Okay, I do wish that were included as part of this presentation and that I didn't have to dig for that information, but I'm glad you were able to provide it. That being said, I did want to just say from a transportation planning standpoint, I understand the concerns that people have, but at the same time, we are a city of pedestrians, and anywhere that you have barriers that prevent pedestrians from being able to cross streets and make movements, I think is really a detriment to the city and the livability of the city and the vibrancy of the city. We need to make sure that pedestrians don't get the shaft, if you will, and aren't able to get from point A to point B in an uninterrupted fashion. So I'm glad to see that hopefully this is something that is going to be done elsewhere where I know similar barriers have existed. So that
Thanks.
was my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Okay, I think we should go on to item number 2. And that's another presentation from DOT addressing the high crash location and potential modifications to the East 96th Street on-ramp to the FDR Drive. And are you good, Greg? Are you going to do this also?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on a second.
Yeah, and thank you, Chuck. We are going to pull up the graphic that we included to our notice to CB8, just to have as a discussion point, and to outline the changes that we are looking to make here. Excellent. Thanks, Greg. We can see it.
Okay, so this is just kind of a diagram. It's not to scale or anything. So you're going north on the FDR Drive. There's an exit here for 96th Street, and then here's the entrance. The entrance does not have much of an acceleration lane at all. It's very dangerous for vehicles to try to weave in here. So the solution is to make this an exit only so that this can come into its own lane. It's exactly the same way it is at Houston Street. At Houston Street on the northbound FDR, the right lane is exit only so that the entrance from Houston Street comes into its own lane.
Okay. That seems like an improvement. Any comments from the public on this? Or the board? We hear anything?
Evelyn David has her hand up.
That's her hand.
All right. Evelyn, go ahead. Unmute, Evelyn.
Hi, good evening. It's Evelyn David in the neighborhood. So I often drive along 96 eastbound, get on the FDR, no problems. So what are you doing? You're making that an exit only from the FDR, or I don't understand. I don't know what you're doing. Right now, if you're going north on FDR, you can get off at 96th Street and go across 96 to the west side or west.
Okay.
And if you're, so yeah, go ahead.
Can you see this aerial?
I can't. I'm on the phone. No, just explain to me.
Okay.
Have you gotten rid of the exit for us getting northbound on the FDR? And if you've done that, where are you going to put the cars? How do we get on northbound 96?
We are not eliminating any exits or any entrances.
Okay.
The exit, when you're going north on the FDR drive, there's an exit for 96th Street.
Correct.
And there's 3 lanes on the FDR and there's an exit. We are going to make the right lane, the rightmost lane, exit only, so that after the exit, there's only 2 lanes on the main line, so that the entrance to the FDR can come into its own lane and back to 3 lanes.
Yeah, it's a tough
For
entrance.
those of you that can see this aerial, you can see that this entrance, look at that. This does not comply, doesn't even come close to complying with federal regulations. There's not enough room to merge. Plus there's a curve here. So when you get on the FDR from 96th Street, that's what's pretty scary. You put your foot to the floor and just pray that there's nothing.
No, actually, oh, okay, all right. So there is a dotted line there. We all wait. We wait for the traffic to go ahead, and then we merge into the traffic going north. I'm speaking.
Yes, but
getting
when you're
off the. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
When you mean you wait to get on the FDR from the entrance from 96th Street? Is that what you're saying?
Okay, no. Okay. So if you're on 96, you're getting on the FDR drive going north on 96th Street.
Yes.
You go through a little, you drive through a drive-through, and then you get onto an area, a part of the highway that's got dotted lines. You're not allowed to go over into the traffic until it's clear. So we wait. Everybody waits.
It's difficult to see if it's clear. There's not enough room.
Oh, okay.
You have to come to you have to come to almost a complete stop.
Well,
so
that's
it's
okay.
hard. There's a lot of accidents here. It's very difficult to enter the main line from a dead stop. And plus the way the highway curves, it's hard to see even if that lane is clear.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying, but everybody that when I drive whenever I'm driving, we're all really careful. We just pay attention. It's no big deal. But anyway, all right. So you are making that.
It has a high crash rate, a very high crash rate.
So what you're doing is making that into an actual lane.
Correct.
And then you're making. Okay.
It will come into its own lane, so without the need to merge.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Okay. I got it. Good idea. Okay. Thank you.
This is a big improvement. I don't own a car, but I occasionally rent a car, and that entrance on 96th Street, I've done that because I'm going into Westchester, and it's exactly what you said. And I've never had an accident, but it comes around. The cars are coming at you very quickly, and you can't see them well because they come around a curve. This is a big improvement. Okay. Any other comments?
We have Dylan Yen and then Andrew Fine from the public.
Hi, Greg. I just have a couple of questions. Like, can you bring up that VPH graph that you have? That the handy one. Yeah, lovely. Thank you. So just like a couple of questions. When you're removing a lane, right, you're going to cut down on the VPH. It's about, the throughput on the main line, right? We're basically cutting off like we do at Houston Street and at, I think, 61st, right? Where it comes, where it goes in 2 lanes. We're cutting the throughput rate, right? Basically through to, the Triborough and the Willis, right? This is how I'm understanding it, correct?
Yes, instead of in between the exit and the entrance, there will only be 2 lanes instead of 3.
Okay, so we're cutting down a through lane. Yes. I understand it's a high crash zone, but my worry is like, whenever I come up from the Brooklyn Bridge onto the FDR, there's always a backup, like all the way down to sometimes the Manhattan Bridge, where the 3 lanes merge into 2. And my worry is it's just going to force all of the traffic. This is going to force all the traffic into all the northbound through traffic to the bridges into 2 lanes. And, I understand that it's a really, short, on ramp. It's almost as bad as the Merritt, not quite, but almost bad as the Merritt up north. But is there a way? Well, first of all, does the traffic support removing a lane from the main line?
Well,
And,
let me just,
yeah.
yes, it does. If you look at these volumes here, 30, this is the max there is. This would be 1,700 roughly a lane. But look at this. There's if you divide this through traffic by 2, because there's 2 lanes, that's about what comes on.
Okay.
And just to show you something else, this is the 96th Street exit. Look at all the cars getting on the 96th Street, and look at how clear this is. So and again, there are times when this does back up, but no, it should be 2 lanes should suffice for the amount of traffic after this exit. Because look at this. I'll tell you what, during crunch times like this, anyone who's going through would never get in the right lane because look, it's backed up because of the exit.
Okay. And how do we make sure that people don't fly down the right like they do at Houston Street? If you're going to close the lane just with paint, I guess is my question.
We can't, of course, we can't do anything for people from flying down, but at least they'll be flying down into their own lane and not merging into another lane. But we can't keep people from speeding or driving recklessly, but at least they'll be coming into their own lane and not forcing themselves into somebody else's lane.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Before we go to Andrew, I just want to follow up on that because when we learned about this proposal and I had previewed it, I had sent in a comment saying that we should be including a Jersey barrier somewhere along the way in that area where the lane is going to be eliminated to essentially ensure that anyone who tries to drive on the shoulder, the new shoulder that's going to exist, will not be able to do it the entire way, that they will have to make sure that they are in what is now the middle lane to ensure that the inbound entering vehicles do have that clear entrance that is uninterrupted and safe. So is there
okay, so
any reason?
you're talking about this here. This will be striped out. You're saying maybe we should put something hard here to prevent the cheaters from using this lane.
Yes, because
We'll look
it
into
would
that.
make it safer for the inbound traffic, incoming traffic, I would assume.
We'll look into putting delineators or some sort of vertical element.
Yeah, any type of delineator I think would be great. So if
Okay.
you could look into that, that would be really appreciated.
Okay.
Just one more question, actually, and that is what, especially I think since congestion pricing began, there's been a lot more congestion at the entrance, filtering back onto First Avenue with vehicles trying to make the right turn from First Avenue to enter the FDR Drive via 96th Street. And oftentimes traffic backs up coming up the York Avenue entrance, and it's largely because you have vehicles, you have 2 lanes coming in, and then they have to merge into 1 lane on the existing ramp. By doing this, are there any plans to adjust the configuration in a way so that you're going to be hopefully allowing for improved conditions as you see here as a result of this? Because it's certainly going to improve the flow entering, but you're still going to have the secondary issue of 2 lanes coming from both directions that are filtering into 1 along the ramp, which I guess you can't avoid. But can you do anything to improve that condition to straighten it out a little and make that merge a little, whether it be with striping or something else, a little clearer?
great question, Craig. For this right now, no, but we have on the books, I'm sure you guys know about the York Avenue study and also I'm hoping, because York Avenue is just a nightmare northbound. When we do the York Avenue study, we will look at improvements like around here to see what can be done. So to answer your question, for this project, no, we haven't done anything here, but we will look at it when we study the York Avenue, when we commence
Thank
with the
you.
York Avenue project. Yes, that we realize there could be a lot of things we could do right in here.
Anyone
Great,
else
thanks.
here
I
now?
think Andrew Fine has his hand up.
Okay.
Thanks, Craig. First of all, I'd like to say Craig makes a really good choice. I hope you can hear. Oh shit! I hope you can hear me.
We do.
I might have just kind of cut
We're gonna
myself
be
off.
included.
Can't see anything, but if you can hear me, Craig makes a great point in terms of the lane that could be cheated on that third lane that you're proposing blocking off, because you would not really accomplish anything if somebody can just bust a move in that third lane without any Jersey barrier or anything else. You're just going to end up with the same accident rate, maybe even worse, because you're providing a prohibited space that people can just cheat and blast through. That's one point. Second point, to Evelyn's point, I've merged on from 96th Street probably, I don't know, few thousand times in my entire life. It's not an issue. If you don't have the ability to merge on, you don't merge on, you wait. And that's just the way it works. That's called driving. So if you don't know how to drive, you probably shouldn't drive. And I don't really see what this is like solving a problem that I don't think really exists. And third, what you guys should really be looking at is the light timing on First Avenue and 96th Street, because as somebody who has given up on trying to make the right turn on 96 from First Avenue when it is legal, it's impossible. The lights are timed out such that all the traffic from 96th Street creates gridlock, so that when you finally get the light on the First Avenue side, you're lucky if like 4 or 5 cars manage to squeak in, either through the right turn lane or the second lane or even the third lane of traffic on First Avenue. The light timing there is an absolute disaster, and you definitely need enforcement there. Usually my life hack is I'll take 92nd Street and then snake into that the lane that feeds in the equivalent to what would be York Avenue, but it's not, to get on there. But so I guess point number one, solving a problem that's not really there. And I think that going 3 lanes to 2, going into 96th Street will create a bottleneck where there is none most of the time. And it might help a couple hours a day, perhaps, but I don't think it's on balance going to be beneficial. And secondly, please fix the light or the timing or whatever you got going on there on 96 and First, because it's really, really difficult. You waste a lot of time trying to make that right turn to get onto the FDR from First.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. In fact, this aerial kind of shows
I
just
see
what
it.
you're talking about. And like I say, when we do the York Avenue study, we will look at this. But let me just explain
This is
why
First, but yeah,
what did I say?
York.
When we do the York Avenue study, we will look at this area. But here is the challenge. When it's green here, you want it to be green here because you don't want cars to get trapped inside. So when it's green here, you would like it to also be green here, but it can't be green here all the time because sometime this has to be red for this traffic and for the crosswalk. So that's the difficulty. The way it is right now, when it's green for this, when it's green for First Avenue, it's red for this. So you got what you guys are talking about, and we can see it right here.
Yeah, I'd
But
say
then
like,
again, there is some time. This has to be red. It can't be red for this and this because these guys got to cross.
well, yeah, the problem is that people from 96th Street will block the entire intersection, run the red or cheat the red, block the box so that when the access to the FDR clears out, there's no time for the First Avenue traffic. I think there's got to
You're
be a
exactly right.
50-50 solution.
Yeah, like split the pain, even
Yeah,
out the pain.
and or like actually having rather than having the traffic agents sitting underneath the FDR as they often do, just moving a traffic agent. You always have like 2 or 3 there. Moving that traffic agent to First Avenue and 96th Street on the west side of the intersection and saying, "Whoa, you can't just block the entire avenue." And then First Avenue would actually be able to access the FDR in a more efficient manner.
You're exactly right. Once again, we could provide for this move or a little bit of both. Right at the moment, the timing provides for this. And you're right. If they don't all make it, they block the box here so that even when this is green, they can't go.
Exactly.
So yes, that we understand
I thank you
that.
for acknowledging that, and that would be my priority over the merge lane, which is generally not a problem. But then again, you've seen accidents, so
Yeah, we
you're
have
the
a lot of
DOT,
accidents.
I'll accept your expertise
Thank you.
on that. Thank you.
All right, we now have members. TJ.
Yeah, I apologize for going back to the first subject. Excuse me. I just wanted to ditto what Dylan had said earlier on. I don't want to restate it because I think he stated it very well, but I support what he said. I drive that same situation a lot. And so I just want to support that. He already said everything I would have said. So I wanted to just put it on record. Thanks, Craig.
All right. Thank you, TJ. All right, Judy, you're up.
Yes, well, Greg mentioned the York Avenue traffic study. That's the first mention we've had of many, many months. Can anybody tell us? I was on that committee, when that's going to resume? Is it in 26, 27? When are we gonna start working on that again?
It was requested to wait until the road work
DEP work, yep.
At
to
60
the
is, well, that work should be finished by
Mhm.
November. They have two water mains on 2 drains on 62nd Street that they have to put in, but the rest of the roadway has been cleared. The only blockage you're going to have, and I don't think we're going to wait to do the York Avenue traffic study, is that between 66 and 67, MSK is building a new hospital. And I think other than that one block, we can go around that and certainly, hopefully start to plan the York Avenue traffic study to start sometime after the first of the new year.
Right. And Judy,
y-
thank you. Greg, I'll just say, right,
Go ahead.
that, we're also enthusiastic to, officially kick off or do it again, right? Re-kick off this study, because, it certainly is ripe for improvement. So we
Right.
will keep the board posted when we're able to, to fully move forward here.
Okay, but I spoke with the people doing the York Avenue work, and they tell me by the end of this year that they should be done. They've
Mhm.
done most of the sidewalks, they've done the street. The only thing you have is the hospital, and I don't think the hospital should hold us up from 66 to 67th. I think
And that's what we're hearing as well in terms of timeline. So we'll certainly keep the board posted.
Thank
It
you.
would be nice. We think it would be nice to have a 20th anniversary start of this. At least.
Yeah,
Okay.
we heard the same thing, that they should be done by November. So yeah, like Jennifer said, we're excited to get started. But when pressed, they wouldn't guarantee they'd be done by November.
Anyone
Yeah,
else? Well, DG.
They're not going to be working on York Avenue. They
Okay,
finished
Judy, I think
York.
enough of this. Come on.
They just have 62nd Street basins to put in.
Okay. I think DJ Falkson wants to say something. DJ?
Hi, thank you. Couple comments, sort of cutting across these first two. I mean, first of all, the comment that it's fixing a problem that isn't there. That seems wrong. Greg, you referenced crash data and that it's a very dangerous interchange. So that seems kind of cut and dry, that that's what DOT is supposed to focus on. They look at the areas where the highest crashes are and they study the design and they recommend changes. So it's great that some people are good drivers and would never crash there. But I think the job of DOT is to deal with drivers as they are and not as we wish them to be. One thing on the redesign with 96th, I actually agree it seems bad for drivers there. I won't opine on how to do that best. I will just mention it's a heavy pedestrian crossing as well with the underpass there, because if you're walking up or down the Riverwalk, one of the ways to cross back over to First Avenue is there. And it's already not a great experience for pedestrians, so I would just say please don't deprecate it further with any street redesign efforts there. And then kind of, Greg, maybe a more general comment and question. I think the tenor of comments that we've heard so far on the first two can basically be summed up as driver's needs versus pedestrian and safety needs. How does DOT kind of balance the needs of drivers versus pedestrians and safety when making these decisions? I don't think you need to give a dissertation right now, but maybe publicizing that information more might make some of these meetings easier potentially.
Okay, thanks, DJ. Okay, I think we have one more person. I don't know if they wanted to comment on this item, Marjorie. Well,
Yeah, I just wanted to say about York Avenue and in 62nd, 63rd. They're not actually done because over the weekend they were digging up one of the middle lanes between 62nd and 63rd. They told me they'd be done by November, but yeah, there are no guarantees. And they're always finding unexpected problems underneath there. But eventually they're getting there. That's all I wanted to say. And DJ Falkson, very good remark. Pedestrian versus driver. That is really a key thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go on to the next item. This is a DOT item. This is regarding the Lexington Avenue bus lane modifications on Lexington Avenue from East 60th to East 52nd Street. And are you, Greg, or is that you again?
No, so Chuck, I'll be introducing, and thank you, Greg, for your time and efforts tonight. I'll be introducing Nolan Levinson for our transit development unit and our TPM division. DOT is proposing to convert, existing curbside bus lanes on Lexington Avenue from 60th Street down to 52nd Street. We've presented to community boards 5 and 6. And so we're here tonight, to present to you all. This is a proposal where we're looking for the board support. And as with the last two agenda items, we're happy to respond to any questions and address any issues after the presentation.
All right, hello everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Are you able to see the presentation?
It's loading up. But it's, title slide is up.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks everyone for having us tonight. And Thanks for bearing with all the DOT presentations. Here today to talk to you about Lexington Avenue. We're looking at the segment between 60th Street and 52nd Street for upgrades, and I'll talk a little bit about why and what those changes would look like. All right, so we're gonna go through some background about the corridor, our proposal, and then looking forward to hearing your feedback and questions. So Lexington Avenue, not news to any of you all, is a major corridor for bus service. 8 routes travel along Lexington Avenue between 60th Street and 52nd Street, including a variety of express buses, the M101, the M102, M103, as well as the other express buses. On average, there are about 71,000 daily passengers that depend on these routes. The average speed is 6 miles an hour, but during the peak hours and daytime hours, it's 5 miles an hour, so quite slow. The existing bus lane in this segment is along the curb, but it is very frequently blocked by passenger pickup and drop off and loading activities on the corridor. It's also a location where we've seen a lot of injuries. In 5 years, there have been 88 crashes resulting in injuries, of which 6 of those injuries were severe. Since this segment is in the congestion pricing zone, traffic, we have looked at the data, and traffic on Lexington has been reduced somewhere around 20% almost in the AM and PM peak hours. So we expect that this proposal can be accommodated within the existing traffic volumes on Lexington. Overall, bus speeds are slow all day on this segment of Lexington, with speeds under 6 miles an hour during the AM, midday, and PM peak. On an average weekday, close to 6,000 daily riders are directly on this corridor. So before we presented a number of all of the routes combined, and then this is the actual amount of people that are on buses in this segment. So the goal of the project is to improve bus service by upgrading the existing curbside bus lane to a offset bus lane that would be in effect 24 hours, 7 days a week. This would bring the benefits of the existing offset bus lane segment that we installed a few years ago between 96th Street and 60th Street. We have seen great success on that segment, which we've presented, to the board as a follow-up, where bus speeds have increased in that section of Lexington up to 26%, as well as a great reduction in pedestrian injuries by 35%. The other thing is that we are looking for consistency of the bus lane treatment throughout the corridor. It is in the offset position between 96th Street and 60th Street currently, and then it is also in the offset position next to painted pedestrian sidewalk extension south of 52nd Street. So this segment as sort of wasn't touched before, but it continues to be an issue for bus service. So the proposal includes, as I mentioned, moving the existing curbside bus lane into the lane next to the parking lane. We call that an offset bus lane. This improves bus speed and reliability. It allows buses to travel through the corridor without being blocked by vehicles that are using that curb lane. It also opens up the curb. So it creates some of the activity, allows for some of the activity that supports the uses on the west side of the street. And just like currently today, this bus lane will continue to be enforced by cameras on the MTA buses themselves. This is what a typical block would look like in plan view. On the left, you can see the current configuration with 3 general travel lanes, a lane for parking on the east side of the street, as well as the bus lane on the west side of the street. In the proposed configuration, there would be on the west side of the street, the curbside parking and loading lane that I mentioned, two general travel lanes, the dedicated offset bus lane, as well as the other parking lane on the east side of the street. So in summary, we are proposing to, adjust the location of the bus lane from curbside to offset, which both improves bus service and curb access as well as safety. So as Jennifer mentioned, we have presented to the other community boards as well as elected officials and other stakeholders. And we are generally looking to make this change either this fall or first thing in the spring next year. After the project would be implemented, similar to the other section that we implemented between 96th and 60th Street, we would be implementing or we would be monitoring its performance as well as traffic. So thank you. I'm happy to take any questions. I'll also know we have colleagues from the MTA on here. I apologize for not introducing them at the start, but they are also available to answer questions.
Okay, so we'll take any questions from the public here. Okay, Evelyn David first.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. It's Evelyn David, the neighborhood. Anyway, so you're basically cutting the lanes down on Lex from 60th down to 50, whatever street that is, to 2 lanes. And the main problem right now on Lex, and I'm sure you're totally aware of this, is that they're building, there's construction on the east side, east side of the street on a few of the blocks, which shoves the bus into the driving lanes. So I know you're aware of that, but if that construction has been going on for I don't know, a year, 2 years, it's unimaginable. They're building a gigantic building there, I guess. Okay. So so is that one of the reasons that you are getting rid of one of the lanes on Lex, which will just make the traffic worse actually for people driving? But obviously you've decided you don't care about that. You just want the bus to go faster. Or you care about everything, but you don't find a solution. That's my question. Is it because of the construction or the blocking of the bus lane by parked cars? Which would be the highest in your estimation?
It's more the latter. The incidences of blocking of the bus lane is something that we see. The current bus lane that was installed there was implemented in the early 1980s. And, the landscape in terms of our demand for curb access has changed so significantly, especially in the last decade, with additional commercial vehicles, loading, online shopping, Ubers, Lyfts, etc. So, the design itself is really dated and does not really support the current function of the street. The other thing I'll say about traffic is that we do look at traffic, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the presentation, but since congestion pricing, the volumes on Lexington have reduced pretty significantly. I'll also add that, we found on the section north of 60th Street where we made these changes a few years ago, we did not see additional congestion based on the travel speeds of vehicles that we have access to. So we do not anticipate seeing that here, but again, I think we're committed to monitoring the performance and making sure that it's working. I think in a previous presentation, someone mentioned the idea of balance, and I think that's exactly right. And what we're looking for here is how do we balance the needs of all road users?
Yeah, you should definitely look at Lex because I live right there, and sometimes the traffic is just so horrendous. It is just amazing. Okay. And the second you get below 60th Street, the lane opens up and traffic starts flowing a little bit. I didn't say a lot. a little bit. Okay. So taking away that lane, it'll just be a continuation of, anyway. Okay.
All
And part of this problem is construction. You are
Evelyn, thank
taking
you.
that into
You're
consideration.
repeating yourself, Evelyn. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, next, Dylan Yen.
Hi, just a couple of questions for Nolan. In terms of this offset bus lane, okay. My worry is, we have a lot of instances of double parking along the Lexington Avenue corridor, especially on the left-hand side, south of 60th Street. And as well as when we have these lovely orange cones that go up. My question is it's more of an enforcement question as well. Is if there's construction, let's say that takes up one side of the street or the other, or there's construction in the middle of the street. My worry is are cars actually allowed to go into the bus lane? Because I know and I understand it's like a 24-hour thing. Are cars allowed to go into the bus lane for, I don't know, half a block or wherever the street, the center of the street is closed, where they have these smokestacks? Or because my worry is everything's going to get funneled down to one lane and then we're going to get gridlock and everybody's afraid to go into the bus lane, otherwise we're going to get a ticket.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it depends on the type of construction, but essentially the answer would be that, yeah, if there's major construction of a building, there would be a plan that's put in place to potentially adjust the markings to accommodate that construction. That's a longer term thing. In terms of a smokestack or something being in there, I don't know if it would have the same level of detail of change since it's pretty temporary, but I do think that we, the automated cameras, they are automated in the sense that they capture images when they detect a violation, but they are reviewed by human reviewers. And the human reviewers take those kinds of factors into consideration before issuing a violation. So if they see an emergency vehicle, if they see a situation that is forcing a vehicle into that lane, they would take that into account and not issue the violation.
My worry is just like, okay, so there was slack in the system where if you had something in the middle of like a smokestack or whatever, right, where the traffic would go around and you wouldn't get gridlock. If everybody's forced into one lane, like we see with construction on 2nd Avenue with the offset bus lane, it just backs all the way up. And that's my worry, because everybody's afraid to use the bus lane for even half a block to keep traffic moving. And that's my worry. But
thanks. Thank you. Next, Andrew Fine.
Okay. So wasn't congestion pricing supposed to fix this? Is that a rhetorical question or?
Doesn't fix double parking.
And what does fix double parking?
So
kind of get where I'm going here. I mean,
if you can add a little bit more, we'll be able to respond to your question.
So my question is, A, if you've had a 20% reduction in traffic as you claim, clearly there should be a great benefit to the flow of buses south of 59th Street. A, so why is that not happening? And B, if double parking is the problem, as we know, double parking is a huge problem. Where's the DOT? Where's the enforcement? I mean, we have these problems all over New York City. We have them on 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue, 1st Avenue, Lexington Avenue. I know that in my neighborhood, we have Amazon just takes up an entire lane of the 2 lanes that are available to cars and just parks there all day long. And so long as they're seen as being in the act of loading or unloading, they avoid the ticket. And then when they do get a ticket, they get to negotiate it down by 75%. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is partly editorializing is that if you really want traffic to flow on Lexington Avenue, 3rd Avenue, or any avenue in New York City, what you really have to do is enforce the law on double parking and not cede our streets to Amazon. Okay. So is there an answer to that? How can you help us to stop the trucks from blocking a moving lane of traffic when everybody else is expected to follow the law? Thank you for taking the question.
Right, so I'll kick us off, and Nolan, feel free to, add in any color, but there are a few things that the agency is already doing and continue to, to work on as well. So one, we coordinate very closely with the NYPD on all of our projects and proposals. So this is certainly, a project where we'll be highlighting our upcoming and proposed changes here for their review. We have a freight mobility team who is in charge of managing a number of different programs like off-hour deliveries, coordination with the trucking association, as well as the big delivery companies. You mentioned Amazon. So if there are particular problematic blocks, and I know they're like not
I'm
specific
sorry.
Amazon workers, but
Every
if
block, I don't mean
yeah,
to interrupt. Every block is a problem
great.
block on the Upper
Okay.
East Side. And the DOT is literally restructuring every street in New York City to accommodate double parking and public taking or private taking of public property in the middle of Lexington Avenue, for instance, to accommodate Amazon. How about just enforcing the law? Can we work on that, please? That's
Great.
all I
We're
have.
hearing that, that comment and that feedback, and, enforcement will certainly be part of this. Our coordination with NYPD will be part of it, but we hear you. Thanks, Andrew.
Let me
I
just
appreciate that.
let me just make a comment. This comes up all the time. I've been chair of this committee for a long time, and everybody says enforcement. And I can tell you that the city does not have the resources and will never have the resources to have continuous enforcement that's going to make a significant dent in double parking. And the only way you're going to do it is through some of the initiatives that you have mentioned, Jennifer, and that is coordinating deliveries in different hours, setting aside spaces for use, and everybody can complain all they want about Amazon and all these companies, but people depend on them and they want them, and they're only here because people are continuously ordering them. So it's it's a little hard to say. I'm not. Listen, Andrew.
I'm just saying that
I've heard all
the
of yours
city has.
before. I don't
The
want to
city
hear.
seemingly has unlimited resources to restructure every avenue in New York City, but somehow they don't have the resources to enforce the law. That's all I'm saying.
Well, first of all, the enforcement, I guess you weren't here when the enforcement people came. The enforcement people are very limited. They're the people who can make these tickets, unless they change the law, which we've advocated to have the people who can give tickets for parking meters and stuff like that, and to enforce these things. The people who give out those tickets, there aren't enough of them, and they can't cover the whole district.
Oh, believe me, there are plenty of them, Chuck. They just don't enforce the law on Amazon
Well,
because
okay, I don't want to get into an
double
argument.
parking
Andrew, enough. I don't want
on loading and unloading.
Okay, can we? Let's move on. Emily Jordan is next. Emily?
You're unmuted, yes.
Hello,
Yeah, there you
can you hear
are.
me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for letting me speak. So I guess on Andrew's point though, so I live between Lexington and 3rd Avenue, and so 3rd Avenue definitely has the the separated bus lanes with the lane for parking, and I can definitely tell you that having the separated lane does not in any way stop double parking. People park in the bus lane even when there is nothing at the curb for some reason. The Postal Service does it, UPS does it, like literally everybody does it, and it's not because there's not a space at the curb. They just do it because they can. Secondly, though, so Upper Lexington, I'm close to 84th Street. It does have the separated bus lane currently, and I'm actually not a fan of it because like I'm relatively young compared to some of the residents up here, but it's really hard for the elderly and disabled because they literally have to wade through parked cars in order to get in the buses. When they get out of the buses, like the drivers can't see them, they could fall between cars. I'm getting out, it's just not safe for them. And you always have the problem, again, even on Third Avenue, where you do have a separated lane and you do have a bicycle lane, you still have the rogue bicyclists who sort of like to drive through and hit people coming off of buses. And I think that having the separated lane really only encourages that. And so those are 3 reasons why I would not favor a separated lane per se. I do ride the Lexington Avenue bus down, usually between like 86th to 59th is about as far as I'll go. And I really do prefer getting off at the curb. It's just a lot safer in my experience, and it's just a much like cleaner experience. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, just clear, and Jennifer can speak to this, or no one can. Buses are always required to pull to the curbside for pickup and drop off. It doesn't necessarily always happen as it should, but that is the requirement for all bus stops. So that's
Right.
not going to change.
Right.
And John, if you can ask Nolan to unmute too, just so he's ready to respond. Thank you.
And while we wait for Nolan, the other thing I'll just add in terms of issues with double parking is, and we've spoken about this at this committee, there is the New York City stipulated fine program, which is not a DOT program, but
Department of
is
Finance.
the Department of Finance, but is a contributing factor to large companies that just consider this to be a cost of doing business.
Right. Exactly. Okay, I don't see any members of the public that want to speak. Can we go to Alita Camp then? The board?
Hi, thank you, Chuck, and thank you to the DOT for your presentation and the MTA for being here, because I have a thing to say to you, MTA. So I thought I just read that someone was hit and killed by a bike while she was getting off the bus. Excuse the grammar. So maybe the person who spoke before is right, and not having the bus stops at the curb is a problem. I think that was pretty recently, maybe over the weekend or yesterday. The other thing is, I asked a cop why the truck that was double parked on Lexington Avenue, when there was empty space at the curb, wasn't getting a ticket. And he said something about, and I think Andrew alluded to this, packing and unpacking, or loading and unloading. They seem to be exempt from any requirements. So if that's true, maybe that needs to be changed. And then I take the bus or walk in those Midtown blocks a lot. And there are so many cars going east and west in the 50s, especially around Christmas time, that block the avenues. They just block all of Lexington, all of Park Avenue, all of Madison Avenue, because they are desperate to get through the lights, and there are no cops, no traffic enforcement people at all. So until you clear that up, buses aren't going to be moving because they can't go through cars. And that seems to be a big issue. And then in those streets on Lexington, maybe starting at around 51st Street, this is, I guess, beyond where you want to change the bus lane, but it's the hotels and the taxis that stop. So if you have Ubers for the office buildings or the hotels on the west side of the street, and you have taxis and Ubers for the hotels on the east side of the street, they're taking up 2 lanes or the bus lane, and that is also slowing down traffic and the buses so much. So those are my comments about that. I appreciate your trying to balance everything. And for the MTA, a real issue with buses is the stacking of buses. I don't see any reason why there's 17 minutes between 2 buses on the same line in the middle of a workday. Last night I was on West 79th Street at about 10 o'clock, and there was one bus coming in 16 minutes, another one in 18 minutes, and another one in 21 minutes. So I don't really understand why that was happening and why it still continues to happen. Because again, until you could clear that up, you may have a free bus lane, but you're going to have an awful lot of people getting really pissed off that they are waiting and waiting and waiting. And then all of a sudden 3 buses come at once. So on Lexington, sometimes it's one line that has a 17, and I've seen it at those, I forget what you call those electronic time signs. And then there may be other lines that come more frequently, which doesn't really help the people who need the first line. But on 79th Street, there is one crosstown bus. So I don't understand what the issue is. It doesn't seem to have been cleared up by congestion pricing and the amount of money that the MTA is getting. I don't understand. But all of these factors together just add up for an enormous amount of congestion and frustration from the public. Thank you.
Judy Schneider's next, I believe. Judy?
Yes, I just wanted to ask, on the last page of the bus presentation, the very last line said, refine curb regulations. What does that mean? Refine curb regulations in 26?
Yeah, so that's part of the sort of monitoring process for this. I think we would like to see after this is installed how the west side of the street essentially is being used. So currently it's a no standing zone. But I think we would like to understand like what would be the best use there. Is it metered parking? Is it truck loading? So that would be part of our monitoring is studying.
Okay,
how
so
that
it's
curb is
really
being used.
monitoring it to see how it's working. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I think Sebastian Allen Clark is next. Sebastian?
Thank you, Chuck. I'd like to offer a resolution and speak to it if seconded. I'm moved that we support this proposal as presented.
Is there a second? Is a second?
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Sebastian.
The way I see this is using the systems that DOT knows works well to allow our buses to move faster through the city. We heard that there are tens of thousands of people who ride the buses down Lexington every day, including many, many people who work or live in our district. By moving the bus lane to this second lane, we're able to get these buses moving more quickly through our city, and that is something we should all be striving for. The bus lane will not fix all problems with transportation in Midtown, nor would anyone ever expect it would, but it's a great step in the right direction in complement with other programs like the automated bus enforcement. So I thank the DOT for bringing this to us and hope that we can get this in the real world as soon as possible.
Okay, any further comments on this resolution from the board? Okay, Craig, before we vote, do you want to take attendance just so you have everybody who's here? Members?
Yes. All right, so we have myself, Chuck, Alita, DJ, Elizabeth Ashby, John McClement, Judy, Lori, Miles, Paul, Sebastian, and TJ.
Did you get Todd Stein?
Yes, he did.
Todd, TJ.
Okay. Okay, so if you're in favor of this, you don't have to do anything. All those opposed, abstaining, or not voting for any other reason. Alita, you're
Sorry, abstain.
abstaining, okay? Anyone else? Okay, so that passes. Thank you. We thank the DOT for their presentations, and hopefully we'll see how these things are working over the next 6 months to a year.
Thank you, Chuck, for accommodating us on the agenda tonight, and everyone for their time and commitment to the board and hearing our presentations tonight.
Good. Thanks, Jennifer.
Craig, I also echo Jennifer's statement. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Raphael. Okay. Item number 4 is a revocable consent application to construct, maintain, and use a fenced-in area at 132 East 70th Street between Park and Lexington Avenues. Is there someone here to present that item on behalf of the applicant?
Looks like Gary Eisner just raised his hand.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Okay. All right. Do you want to,
Yeah, John, if you can unmute Gary.
yeah, unmute him?
There we go. You can hear me?
Oh,
No,
sorry.
yes.
Oh,
Yes, go ahead. We hear you.
Okay, you can hear me again?
Yeah,
yes.
you're a little low. You could talk it up a little bit here. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. I'll share my screen and we can go through. Oop. Sorry, I shared the wrong screen. There we go. What is this the, am I on the right screen here? Sorry.
There it is
There we
now.
go. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we're proposing installing a fence in front of this private residence that we're working on at 132 East 70th Street. I'll zoom in to our presentation so you can kind of get a sense of the location of said fence. So basically our entrance is right here. We're proposing this fence goes in line with both of our neighbors. Very similar to how they both have their setups on the sidewalk. And just to go through this, the close up here, it's basically the concept is the same for the neighbors. We're just proposing a little concrete curb, a metal rail with a gate, to offer some privacy, some buffer from the house to the sidewalk. We're matching the design of the railing with some of the existing details of the house. So you can see the front elevation here. There's this existing rail here, so we're mimicking that design aesthetic and bringing it to the front gate. And that is the close-up of the detail of the railing.
What's in front? How far out does that go then? I can't make out
The
the numbers.
It goes out
From
about
your building line.
It goes out about 4 feet, about 4 foot forward to the face of the curb. You can see here the intent is to align with the neighbors, so it doesn't stick out any further than our neighbors, both east and west.
And there's no trees that are there. I guess I don't see anything.
There's a tree pit here. It doesn't show on the plan, but there's a few tree pits along this whole street.
Okay.
What will the clearance be to the curb?
Clearance to the curb will be, I have to actually do some math here. It's oh, sorry, it's 11 foot 4.5 to the curb, this dimension here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are there any members of the public who want to comment on this application? See if there's anybody here.
Dylan Yang has his hand up.
We have a couple of, well, okay, yeah.
Hi, I'm curious. So you said there's a tree, like I see in the design plan that there's a tree pit there. So like where you're proposing to build a fence, right? In between, there's going to be a tree pit and fence, correct? So I want to know what's remaining left on the sidewalk for pedestrians to go through.
It's 5'3" between our proposed and the tree pit.
Okay. I'm just a little bit concerned about if we're going to take away more curb space in between a tree pit and a curb. I'm a little bit worried that we're trying to funnel a bunch of pedestrians through a very narrow space, but that's my concern.
Thank you.
Yeah, the condition exists on the neighbor as well. There's a tree pit in front of their house where they have the fence.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, I think we have some board members. Alita?
Thank you. So do you know when the fences of your adjacent neighbors were built? Because tree pits have gotten a lot larger. 5'3" is not nearly enough room. It's not allowed, I believe, for dining on the sidewalk to have that amount of space between the tables and the curb. Second of all, what's behind that door? Because it looks like your house already juts out quite a bit. What's behind that door? It looks like a reception room rather than entry into an actual living space.
Behind our door?
Yes.
From this house?
Yes.
This was a commercial property, so there was a reception, but now it's being converted to a single family.
Right. And what's behind that door? Does it go right into a living room, or is it like a
There's
mudroom? Is it an entryway?
a vestibule.
Okay, so you already have privacy when you have a vestibule behind those beautiful doors. So I don't understand the need except to create a moat against the multitudes of people, the riffraff, if you will, that populate the city and walk down the streets. For me, asking for this fence, as you can tell, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody, is highly offensive to me because this is public space and we have very limited public space. The Upper East Side has the least amount of green space in the city. It is the most densely populated neighborhood, I understand, in the entire country. And so to take approximately 25% of the outstanding sidewalk, and that's to the curb, not to the tree pit, and use it for a single family forever, despite it being called irrevocable consent, just seems to me vastly inappropriate. People complain about cars taking up parking spaces, cars frequent businesses, they go to doctor's offices, they visit, I mean, their owners do, visit family and friends. This is for one family for a street that is probably heavily trafficked because it's close enough to Park Avenue, it's close enough to the park, and to just take it for private use in these days when everything is so much more crowded, so much more congested, just feels entirely wrong, especially when you have that space inside. So I don't really understand the need for privacy at all when it's an entryway. And I find that somewhat disingenuous and even more insulting to our intelligence. So I will be voting no on this. And I am sorry if my words or my tone offended anybody, but I do find this kind of ask to be really not proper. Thank you.
Sebastian, Helen Clark, next.
Thank you, Chuck. I'd like to make a motion and speak to it if seconded. I'd like to move that we disapprove the proposal.
Okay, is there a second to this?
Alita is excitedly waving her hands.
Okay.
So I take that as seconded.
Yeah.
I echo many of Alita's concerns that this is giving 100 square feet of the sidewalk space over to a private home, likely forever, and narrows the possible space here at the tree pit down to a little over 5 feet. New York sidewalks should be for everyone, and making it harder for our New Yorkers to walk around on the sidewalk is not the direction I think we should be moving in. And so for that reason, I think we should disapprove this proposal.
Okay. We have some other members who want to comment. Miles Fink is next. Miles?
Hi. Oh, sorry. Do you know the clearance of the sidewalk for the other neighbors with the fences and tree pits?
It's roughly the same. I mean, you can see on the it's a little bit hard to see exactly, but looking, I mean, this is obviously, I don't know when these other fences were built. To answer that first question, but yeah, it's about 5 feet here, wherever there is a fence, and you can kind of see down the line. We're really just trying to like make this street more consistent and actually even add green space within the fenced area. So it's not taking away necessarily green space. Obviously, I understand the other concerns, but it's reasonably equivalent clearance.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Lori, Boris?
Yes. Hi. Hi. I agree with everything that was said. I'm not as angry about it, but what I did want to mention is that we have this kind of standard of like 8 feet. It has to be 8 feet, and when you think about pedestrians walking in front, also think about wheelchairs. You know, that you cannot, that is just taking the proposed fence is taking up just too much of the sidewalk. So I too will be voting, I guess, for the motion that Sebastian.
Disapprove, you're saying, right?
Yes, yes, I will disapprove, because I understand, you know, wanting to make everything look nice and neat and the same, but in this case, it is really taking, and I don't know when those other fences were built, but for today's pedestrians and wheelchairs and scooters and other things that an aging population use on a regular basis, it's just not it's not useful and it's not appropriate. Thank you.
Stein is next, huh?
In agreement. Mom's in a wheelchair, constantly have issues, especially now with the bikes going down the sidewalks. I can just barely safely get my mother around my neighborhood. Sidewalks are just really dangerous at this point. I support Sebastian, Lori, and all that have been said. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments? I don't see any other. Oh, I don't see any other board members.
There,
Okay.
one of the speakers, I believe, is raising his hand.
Well, you mean Glenn Roberts? Okay, Mr. Roberts, go ahead.
Thank you for the time here, and I hear loud and clear what everyone is saying. I guess I would just say, by way of background, which is perhaps relevant to the strong feelings that people have here, is that, you know, the single family that will occupy this home, you know, is a family of someone who grew up abjectly poor in New York City and whose handicapped parents served the interests of people who could afford to live on the street. And through a lifetime of effort, this is the dream that they have had, and it is coming through for them. So I just want you to understand that, you know, I'm here on their behalf for those same privacy and security concerns. I understand absolutely the concerns about wheelchair traffic. I'm just observing the path of travel that's demonstrated by this photo of a pedestrian. And as you can see from where the left and the right fences jut out, the concern about wheelchair accessibility specifically already manifests itself at that tree pit right there. So, you know, I just want to be clear on all those points, that appreciate the strong feelings, but I'm not sure that voting against the installation of this fence will change in any way the pathway of travel of a pedestrian, wheelchair bound or otherwise, along that street because of exactly where those fences are presently. Thank you.
Can I ask Mr. Eisner, what does DOT say about the clearance there between the tree pit and where the fence would be?
We had no objection or that I've received on that.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments?
Member of the public.
Well, I don't want to get too much, you know, normally when we start discussing these resolutions, I'm not going to take
We
any
should
more
probably just take a vote at
public
this
comments.
point.
Let's just vote on this. Yeah. So you want to call the roll again, Craig, or do you think
Yeah,
everybody?
I'll call the roll, but I believe it's the same. Myself, Chuck, Alita, DJ, Elizabeth Ashby, John McClellan, Judy, Lori, Miles, Paul, Sebastian, TJ.
Okay. Okay, if you are in favor of this motion to disapprove this application, you don't have to do anything. If you're opposed or want to abstain, you should raise your hand.
I see no hands. Looks like it is unanimous.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Well, this will be taken up at the full board meeting in 2 weeks. Or is it 1 week? No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. It's
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Right. Okay, number 5 is a discussion on issues related to the accessibility of getting into taxis and black cars. We had invited the Taxi and Limousine Commission to come. They said they were going to come, but then they had canceled at the last minute and said they would like to come in November. But I know that there are some people who might be here to discuss it. So, and this is something that one of our board members, Elizabeth Ashby, asked to be placed on the agenda. And so we can have a discussion of some of the concerns here, but we won't be able to really, I think we need to to take any action. We'll need to wait for we'd like to hear and have a discussion with the Taxi and Limousine Commission folks. So Elizabeth or anyone, do you want to, would people like to comment on this issue?
I won't take up much time now since we be taking it up
Next month, yes.
Next month, is that correct?
Yes.
But this is, excuse me?
We so there is the chance that some major item could usurp this, but
Well,
hopefully
we'll try
not.
to, yeah, hopefully not.
Yes. As long as we don't have to dedicate the next meeting to one item only that may come up, this will definitely be on it.
Yeah. Well, then let me suggest that this is a problem enormous number of people have mentioned to me. These very high taxis, very high cars are almost impossible for people unless they're tall and athletic to get into. And I think that we recognize the need by having special taxis for people in wheelchairs, but people on canes, people on walkers, people on rollators are challenged beyond belief trying to get up. They find, and people who have nothing wrong with them have complained to me too because it's so difficult to get into these cars. And I hope that some way, some step with handles or something that could be designed to make it easier to get in and out of these things. And I hope that we'll think about it and perhaps come up with some solutions. But people have begged me to mention it, and that's why I pestered you to get it on the agenda. So I hope we will take it up and not take it, have it taken off by anything. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Is there anyone else who wants to make a comment on this at this point? And we will take it up in November, barring any emergencies, as Craig pointed out. Okay. Thank you. All right. Any updates from the New York City Department of Transportation? Does Raphael have anything here or anyone? Are you here, Raphael?
Yes.
So do you have any?
Thank you very much. Everything that I might have an update on, we just cover it. And we thank you very much for hosting us today, and I'm looking forward to that resolution that will probably pass in the next board meeting.
Okay, thank you. So no updates.
Thank
Is
you.
there any old business or new business? Let's take Andrew, fine. Let's take the public first. We'll see the usual suspects.
Thank you, Chuck. I was just wondering, well, first of all, just backtracking to 70th Street and the fence. If that property owner feels that they have an excessive sidewalk space, I would recommend possibly an e-bike charging station, a delivery hub, or maybe a city bike station would be perfect for that property since there's 100 square feet of extra space available. I did have a question regarding old business, and it relates to property bordering Community Board 8. Central Park has been radically redesigned by the Department of Transportation under the approval of the Parks Conservancy and a plan that they put together to put a high-speed DoorDash expressway or high-speed e-bike lane in the park, despite e-bikes being allowed in the park only by pilot, which expires at the end of the year. In the process, they have eliminated red lights, replaced with blinking yellow. They have put burlap sacks over walk signs, and they have also disabled and put burlap sacks over the accessible pedestrian signals, which allows people that are vision impaired to cross the park drives. I'm just wondering if the DOT can explain to us all how this is not a blatant violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act, since it is clearly making the park less accessible, and any renovation for a public space should make public spaces more accessible rather than alienating the blind, families, people with mobility issues. Can you please explain that to me?
Andrew, thank you. Thank you for sharing your concern. I will escalate this and I will respond to your concern accordingly.
By the way, on this, we passed a resolution against this. And I think
Yes.
Andrew is right on here. This is one of the worst decisions that DOT has made in regard to Central Park to make that a raceway. You already had a problem as it was before, and this exacerbates it by creating an incentive for people to just speed like crazy in big groups continuously, and you take your life in your hands if you just try to get across. And so I think this is a ridiculous decision, frankly, and I don't usually say that about the Department of Transportation, but this is one that really needs to be looked at. And I know there have been some accidents and there were a lot of problems from this.
We actually got an email yesterday from a doctor at Cornell Weill, a head of department whose wife is a high-powered lawyer, who literally emailed us from the back of an ambulance after getting creamed by an e-bike in Central Park with a major skull head trauma. And this happens every day, and it's gotten so much worse. The E-Vehicle Safety Alliance will be out tomorrow protesting against the Conservancy and their decision to endorse this crazy action. But like I said, I really feel that this is in counter to the ADA, and I think that legal action is inevitable because it's alienated so many people and disenfranchised users from the park, which is supposed to be, according to them, an oasis and a reprieve from the chaos of the city. And unfortunately, they've just brought the chaos right into the middle of the park. But so thank you for listening.
Andrew, one question. You mentioned that there will be a protest tomorrow. Is that what you said?
Yes. Would you like to join us?
No, I'm just want to. I know. I just wanted to.
It's at the Conservancy's offices tomorrow at noon. We'll have probably between 50 and 100 people, at least a dozen or more people that have been physically impacted and life altered by being creamed by e-bikes and e-scooters. And that number is going up. Like literally in the last week, we've had a half dozen people reach out to us because they were hit in the last month in Central Park. And it's just a small fraction of what's going on. But this is just an awful, awful idea by the Department of Transportation and the implementation to think that there's no longer an accessible pedestrian signal for anybody to cross the park drive on any part of the 6 mile loop is ludicrous and discriminatory. So action will be forthcoming. And I don't know where quite. There's a good lawyer on the call. Just look me up. We'll hook up on this because this has to stop. And we're going to make sure it stops.
Is this something that has been brought up in the past?
We passed a resolution not to do this.
Yes.
But in terms, Chuck,
which you may not be aware of, but we did.
Yeah.
In terms of the,
and kudos to Community Board 8 and all the support, Chuck, Craig, Valerie, Alita, everybody that has given us
yes, Andrew,
being pedestrians.
what I wanted to know, just so I escalate this accordingly, whether this has been what the way you had detailed that information has been sent to us.
Yes, we've literally been on Zoom calls with Udonis. We've been on Zoom calls with Parks. When you say with
Udani,
we've testified to the city
me,
council
Andrew,
on this in
I
person.
just want to clarify. Are you saying that you have communication with Idani, the commissioner?
Yes, we've literally Zoom called with Yadani, and his staff and the NYPD chief of transportation, and sat down with Mayor Adams, and sat down with leadership in the city council, and gotten Julie Menon, Gail Brewer, Vicky Palladino, Robert Holden, and liberal and conservatives to agree on this, and the DOT is obstinate,
Andrew,
and so is the Conservancy.
What I am trying to clarify is whether you have communication with DOT, and you say yes. Well, has there been any communication with the Manhattan Borough Manhattan Borough Commissioner's office?
Well, yes, I've had conversations one-on-one with Mark Levine. I've had
No. Forget about. I'm sorry, it's not the president. I'm talking about the Manhattan
DOT,
the community
borough commissioner.
Right, the commissioner.
Ad nauseum.
That means yes.
Well, what I will ask
plenty.
you to do, what I will ask you to do that will enable me to really escalate this promptly is that first, that email that you referenced from the doctor, is that any possibility that you can forward that to me, plus some of the detail that you had just mentioned?
So the doctor is like literally the 112th person that we've been in contact that has been physically impacted in a substantial manner that's life altering. I would suggest, all you have to do is call your boss and say, I was alerted to this. What's the situation? New York City E-Vehicle Safety Alliance, nycevsa.org. Look it up. Ask Udonis, and he will fill you in. We are, I guess, a thorn in his side because we are actually advocating for accountability for e-bikes and e-scooters. We're asking for license and registration on these vehicles They move fast, they can be heavy, and they can cause serious injury. So all we're asking is that, and in the case of Central Park, they have now made Central Park into a raceway that has no stoplights, only suggested stop signs, which nobody obeys. And we are getting, the injuries are mounting at an increasing rate. It's gotten much, much worse. So please ask him about that. But this has been discussed in the city council, in the mayor's office, literally to the mayor, to the mayoral candidates, to the NYPD. We're just looking for action, and we do feel that the NYC DOT and the speaker of the city council have been obstructing us from actually getting accountability and sanity in the park.
Has there been any document put together referencing what you're talking about?
You just check our website.
Listen,
There is yes.
No, but it's coming from.
Listen,
NYC
Raphael, wait a minute. I don't want to take any more time. Raphael, you're at DOT. You should look at what's
Look into
there
it.
instead of just, asking about, you have a job, and your job is hopefully to, look at this stuff and follow up on it. And please do that. Okay, let's go on. Dylan Yen.
Thank you.
Hi, Rafa. I'll just echo what Andrew Fine said, and what Chuck said. Raphael, second question is, there has been whispers of a presentation on the 72nd Street bike lane. I think we talked about that last time. Do you know when DOT is planning to present that to us?
Well, that's coming. That's coming here. 72nd Street bike
That will be
lane.
coming, and I will let you know as to when.
Cool, thank you.
Okay.
Do you know if it's November, or do you know if it's after November? I think that's what we're trying to figure out. That's what I was alluding to before.
Right.
With Elizabeth and
I will bring it up, and I will let you know as to when, but it's being reviewed.
Okay, thank you. Next person up from the public is David Kupferberg.
Hi, my name is David Kupferberg. I'm 53 years of age. Been a lifelong New Yorker. Have been living in Manhattan for the past 21 years. I'm talking about, want to bring up to you the MTA bus network redesigns. A slight update. The Bronx is done. Queens, as you know, was recently implemented, and Brooklyn is in the planning stage. Manhattan is most likely will be next. And I wanted to put this on your radar so that there could be adequate discussion to be proactive with the people of your community, with CB8. I did send it an email on Friday, late Friday morning about this, titled 10/8 Transportation Committee New Business, and I hope it was forwarded to committee members. This is the unabridged version of my ideas for the Manhattan bus network redesign. I think it's a good first step. Read it with an open mind. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, let's move on to members. Alita.
Lita, right.
Thank you. I was having a conversation with someone today who lives in my building, who I have seen with a bike much more often than I've seen him with his own legs without a bike. And it's a pedal bike, not an e-bike in any form. And he is terrified of the bikes in Central Park racing down that high-speed bike lane. What he suggested, and I don't know if this would work, I kept asking him and he thinks it would be to have speed bumps. I don't use the park anymore. because of the bikes. And it's not just the bikes on the speedway, it's the bikes as usual on all the pedestrian lanes with an entitlement to be there and basically a screw you attitude of ask nicely to please walk their bikes. It's dangerous and it's scary, but you've heard all of that. So I don't know, maybe you want to look into whether speed bumps would work, but something has to change. The idea of putting a high-speed bike lane in Central Park to me is crazy. Thank you.
Thank you.
The interesting irony, in my view, is that they barred cars from the park because of all that, and now they've recreated a situation with these e-bikes. Basically, it's like, but it's worse because they have no lights or anything else.
They have no license and they have no lights and they don't stop and they never stop. It's always pedestrians who seem to be, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I hope I didn't, Chuck, but it's always pedestrians who seem to be in the way, and the yelling and the move out of the way attitude, coupled with the high speed and coupled with no way to actually stop them. Not that the lights worked, which is why you need another mechanism of some way to slow them down, because pedestrians have every right to be in that park too, and every right to go from east to west and back.
Let me just add two things. First, I know that I'm not sure when it's going to take effect, but I know that there was a new law that's going to impose speed limits on e-bikes. And I don't know, obviously, if that's going to result in enforcement, but at least that's something that's some measure that's being done to try to address it, whether it's effective or not. The second thing is, I recall, and I think it was something that I had said during the Central Park discussions, that we should we should have them add, whether they were speed bumps or speed tables or whatever form they would take, but to basically put in traffic calming measures in the park to ensure that bikes are going to be forced to slow down where pedestrians cross. And I don't know whether that went anywhere, but I certainly know we talked about it.
Right. Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay. All right. I think if there's nothing else, we can adjourn.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right. Good night, everyone.